This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making tonight's post-game reaction show a part of your evening. And thank you so much for your continued support of the show. What a Monday Night Football game we witnessed from Indianapolis. The San Francisco 49ers outlasting the Colts and 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. Final score 48-27. The Niners have now won 5 games in a row, and in the process, San Francisco elevating to the number 5 seed in the NFC. They are now ahead of the Los Angeles Rams. The story of the night, Brock Purdy, a career game, and a game when you look back at his career, you're going to remember for how he outduked the 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, but all of the highlights that came with it. Purdy was sensational in this game. He threw a late pick, but it didn't matter. The game at that point pretty much decided. 25 of 34 on the evening, 295 yards, and a career high 5 touchdowns. The pick that he threw went off the hands of Kendrick Bourne, misfired a little bit high when the Niners were in a position to put some more points on the scoreboard, but a fantastic game from Purdy. He showed everybody, if you're a detractor, if you're a hater, you're flat out wrong. This is one of the best throwers of the football in the National Football League as far as touch and anticipation, and this is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. A quarterback rating alongside those monster numbers of 126.8. He was in complete control all night long at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And he said it after the game. Kyle Shanahan was in his bag with the play calls and with the play design. This Niners offense right now is humming. This Niners offense is clicking on all levels, and hopefully George Kittle is okay going into this monster game against the Chicago Bears on Sunday night in Week 17 because Kittle's been on fire. But this offense right now is really finding a groove in a multitude of ways. Purdy looks healthy, looks mobile. The zip behind his throws has certainly been there the last couple of games, and he just seems so confident with what he's doing, so decisive, and Kyle Shanahan has so much confidence in him with the plays that he's calling because Purdy right now is in complete demand. And I know this Colts team has now lost 5 in a row, 5 of their last 6. Big reason for that, the quarterback situation. But their defense coming into this game, not a bad defensive unit. They were top 10 in the NFL going into Week 16 in sacks. Yet Purdy sliced and diced them all night long. In between the 20s, in the red zone, connecting time and time again with George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, Christian McCaffrey, Sky Moore got involved, Demarcus Robinson caught a touchdown, Jake Tunchess able to make some plays as well, and the Niners as an offense, Chip. At halftime, they're on pace for nearly 500 yards of offense, if we can show those numbers, on the night. They kind of took their foot off the gas because they went up so much. They still were able to put up 440 yards of offense. It wasn't just the pass game, it was also the run game. $145 on the ground. Christian McCaffrey going over the century mark. Probably his best game of the year as far as yards per carry, explosive runs, the holes that were there, and the chunk plays that he was able to find on the ground. And the Niners winning time of possession, 33 minutes and 5 seconds to 26:55. McCaffrey, 21 carries for $117. And then through the air, 6 catches, 29 yards. He had 2 receiving touchdowns. He now has 16 touchdowns on the season. And if this Niners offense continues to play like this team is really scary going into the playoffs. This is the bread and butter of the 2025 Niners. This is what they can hang their hat on. This is where they haven't had so many injuries. This is the unit that can carry San Francisco. This is what their strength is as a football team. Now, it's not all that sustainable to play defense the way that the Niners play defense tonight or the way that the defense has played in the last 2 games. And if they go up against an elite quarterback, they might be exposed on the defensive side of the ball, although they were better against the run tonight. But when your offense is humming like this, they can keep up with anybody and score points with any team in the NFL. When you have Kyle Shanahan calling the plays, designing the offensive line protecting like they did tonight, opening up holes in the ground game like they did tonight, and when Brock Purdy is playing like this, distributing the ball everywhere. And Chip, you know what tonight is? 5 straight dubs for the Niners. And as Fred Warner would say, Dub City! Well, we linked up with our guy Arnold, who is our chief designer extraordinaire here at Chat Sports, and we made some Dub City hoodies and shirts. This is the hoodie design, and then we also have this red shirt. Dub City, Fred Warner, All-Pro Fred. Iconic. Niners have now won 5 games in a row. Hottest team in the National Football League. Rolling going into the postseason. Get your gear and ready. In time for the postseason, I should say. At chatsports.com/dubcity. Shirts and hoodies available using that link down below. chatsports.com/dubcity. Updated look at the NFC playoff picture. Due to that insane game on Thursday night between the Seahawks and the Rams, in which the Rams squandered a 30-14 fourth quarter lead. The Rams lose. They drop to 11-4. Seahawks win. They elevate from the 5 seed to the number 1 seed. And the Niners, with their win tonight on Monday Night Football, advancing and moving up the ladder board to the 5 seed in the NFC. I like where the Niners are positioned here because they'd be able to go on the road, first round of the playoffs if the season were to end today, and play the Carolina Panthers, who they pretty much dominated a couple of weeks ago, 20-9 in primetime, in a game where they covered the spread, won by 11. Offense did some nice things, despite Brock Purdy turning the ball over 3 times in the first half. And so, yeah, San Francisco would have to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs in this scenario, but a beatable opponent in the wild card round if things remain like this. Now, the Panthers and the Buccaneers have to play one more time, and that'll probably decide the NFC South title. If the Niners beat the Bears and beat the Seahawks, they will be the number 1 seed in the NFC. Still a lot to play for. Arrow pointing up for San Francisco. And what a year this has been. They clinched a playoff spot last night on Sunday night with 3 games left. They now have 11 wins on the year. Massive game coming up against the Bears at home and then the Seahawks at home. These are pretty much playoff games for the Niners right now. Still have an opportunity to get the number 1 seed and win the best division top to bottom in the NFL. It's really a muscle flex and a hell of a job from Kyle Shanahan, Brant Boyer, and Robert Saleh because of how they've coached this year. You lose Fred Warner. You lose Nick Bosa. You ate all this dead money. You let all these marquee players go. You've had to play a lot of young players, and here you are peaking at the right time. Offense humming. You've won 5 straight games. You are now 11-4 on the year with so much left to play for and left to accomplish. Now, we do have to talk about this concerning defense. We'll get to that in a little bit more coming up just around the corner. Let's get to our sponsor. Our friends at PrizePicks, making today's San Francisco 49ers report possible. This is the number 1 fantasy sports app in all of the land. And look, it's the holiday season. Best time of year for sports, bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right, PrizePicks. Now, Merry Picksmas launched on December 20th, so you can still take advantage of that. And PrizePicks, I just love it because there are so many great features. Like this one. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you might now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? Your team might be cooked, but with PrizePicks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. PrizePicks lets you play fantasy football every week, pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week, no draft required. How about us? How about producer Chip? Chip's picks, 3 for 3 on the 3-pick power play. Christian McCaffrey, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. He had 2. George Kittle, more than 61.5 receiving yards. He went way over. And Phillip Rivers, more then 159.5 passing yards. The 44-year-old threw for almost 300 yards. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. We're going to put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of today's San Francisco 49ers report. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS, prizepicks.com/CLNS. All right. So this offense was amazing tonight for San Francisco. Purdy, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, threw for 295 yards. McCaffrey, 21 totes for 117. As a team, Niners run it 31 times for $145. Kittle, 7 grabs for 115. Jennings, 5 catches for 71. And that's all great, right? This Niners defense is a major concern. And I'm not sure how this Niners defense is going to be able to hold up against legitimate quarterbacks, good offenses, and really good offensive units, right? Because they got carved up tonight by 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. And I commend Phillip Rivers for coming out of retirement to try to save the Colts season. His love for ball is infectious, and he was really fun to watch tonight. You could tell how the quarterbacking game that he plays, in addition to Aaron Rodgers, another throwback, is so much different than what we see at the college level and for a lot of these young quarterbacks right now. Pre-snap, post-snap, the high football IQ, the cerebral nature, the ability to read and react to what you're doing before the play and during the play is really impressive. And you don't see that type of mature quarterback play these days. I mean, I grew up and watching in the early 2000s, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers. Like, they had the ability to make a bunch of checks and audibles at the line of scrimmage. They could sometimes change the play after it happens, like with Aaron Rodgers. If he sees with his peripheral vision that the cornerback is playing off and it might be a run play, Aaron Rodgers will take that snap and he'll signal to the wideout, hey, I might throw to you, and he'll rip that throw. Tonight in this game, you could tell Phillip Rivers was in total command of the game, and he was really able to decipher what the Niners wanted to do. Robert Saleh had a lot of too high safety looks early in the game, and Phillip Rivers was able to just shred this Niners defense. I mean, we're talking about a 44-year-old here who had not played prior to last week since 2020, and he comes out and he goes 23 of 35 for 277 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and had a quarterback rating of 97. And on third down, he was kind of surgical. What happens when the Niners have to go up against Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson? What happens when the Niners have to go up against, potentially in the playoffs, a Matthew Stafford, a Jalen Hurts, a Sam Darnold in Week 18, a Jordan Love potentially, even a Bryce Young if you continue to play like this? Now, the good thing is that the Niners were better tonight against the run, which was a huge key for me after they gave up nearly 7 yards per carry last week against Tennessee. The bad is that there were guys open downfield. There were bad PI calls downfield. There were coverage breakdowns downfield, and you could not generate any pressure on the quarterback. And I'm telling you this right now. If you can't get pressure on Caleb Williams next Sunday night, or Sam Darnold in Week 18, or any of those aforementioned quarterbacks in the playoffs, and they can sit back all day and not have a worry in the world that they're going to get hit, and they can go through their progressions, go through their reads, and sit back there pretty, it might not be pretty for this Niners team. Alec Pierce, very talented wide receiver, really good night. 4 catches for 86 and 2 touchdowns. Josh Downs, especially on third downs, was really good. And so there's only so much that Robert Saleh can do. You don't have a lot of talent or depth to get after the quarterback. Your defense kind of is what it is. And this is the byproduct of you losing Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Special players. And when you go up against good teams with good offenses like the Colts still have, even with all of the quarterback issues, this is what can happen. And this is why it's so paramount for the Niners offense to carry the team and for San Francisco to generate some turnovers, which they ended up doing at the end of this game, which put this game on ice. And that's what the Niners have to do on defense. They're going to give up yards in the red zone. Can you force field goals instead of touchdowns? Robert Saleh said this recently. I gave up caring about yards a while ago, and I agree with him. I've talked about this plenty on the show. You can give up all the yards that you want. Can you hold teams to field goals instead of touchdowns? If you do that, you're going to be able to win, especially with this offense. Like, this Niners offense got off to such a good start that even though the defense gave up a couple of touchdowns early, then you started to force field goals, your offense continued to score touchdowns, and you were fine. But some of these numbers, just not good. Phillip Rivers had 73 yards passing on the opening drive, first free play touchdown of his career. He had more passing yards in the first quarter than he did all of last week against Seattle. First time since 2012 that he threw touchdowns on the first two drives of the game. This game in general, by the way, most points in a first half since that Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Rams in 2018. That was the Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes game where the Rams held on to win 54-51. This Niners defense has to get shored up because this isn't a sustainable way to play football. And the only way it is if you can come away with a couple of takeaways and then you play clean on offense, because there isn't a large margin for error for San Francisco. Isn't this crazy too? The last time the Niners punted, Thomas Morstead, stealing money at this point, was November 30th against the Browns going into the bye week. And then lastly, this Niners drive chart, filthy. This is how the game started off for San Francisco. Touchdown, 6 plays, 69 yards to tie the game up at 7. Touchdown, 5 plays, 26 yards because Jair Brown with the peanut punch forced a fumble on the ensuing kick. Niners go up 14-7. Touchdown, 10 plays, 69 yards to go up 21-14. Field goal, 12 plays, 75 yards. Go up 24-14. End of the half, Eddie Pinheiro attempted a 64-yarder. He missed it off the crossbar. First miss of the year. That drive, 2 plays, 14 yards. They took over when there was only a few seconds left. They come out of the gates, coming out of recess. First drive of the third quarter, 8 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. Then they go 8 plays, 49 yards, field goal. Fourth quarter, 10 plays, 70 yards. They go up 41-27, and then they got a 75-yard pick six from D. Winters, and that ended the ball game. Pulled the Niners ahead 48-27, and that decided it and ended it right there. So a good win for the Niners. This has been an easy schedule for the most part when you compare the Niners slate this season to some of their NFC counterparts, especially a team like Philadelphia. But look, this is the NFL. Majority of games decided by one score or less. And a lot of these games in the fourth quarter, usually within a possession. This game at one point, within a possession. You got to take what your schedule presents to you, and you got to take care of business. But this is a win against a playoff level team, a team that's above 500. You've gone on the road. You've beaten Seattle. You've beaten the Rams, and you've taken care of business. And eye test wise, offense plays like this, they will have a chance against any team in the NFL. You just have to hope that your defense can be just good enough and generate a couple of turnovers. Longest active win streaks, Texans 7, Jags 6, Niners with 5, Seahawks with 5, Niners in Seattle on this collision course. Looking ahead to week 18, but before that, going to be an epic game against the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate all of you for tuning into the watch party, watching our post-game show, and we're going to continue to give you fantastic coverage right here on the San Francisco 49ers Report.